Okay, hello everybody, today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 in the de Havilland DHC-2 Beaver. We are doing another subscriber request, this one for Ryan Simanchek, flying out of Portland International Jetport, Papa Whiskey Mike, flying to Belfast Municipal, Bravo Sierra Tango. We'll be flying VFR, and it's our first flight in the Beaver, so it should be a challenging flight. Let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Okay, we'll start by removing the chocks and the tie downs here in walk around mode. Then we'll head over to the pitot tube and remove the pitot cover, and check out this pitot tube. You could joust with that. We'll walk around the side of the aircraft here just so you can have a look at it, and this is a fantastic looking aircraft. Back here to the elevator and the rudder, and you can see that we have trim tabs for the rudder, so we can trim out the rudder and of course the elevator. So let's head back around and climb into the cockpit. We've got an iPad here with checklists, so we're going to follow the checklists. Our propeller area is clear. All of our switches are off. We'll crack the throttle. That's the lever on the left here. And next, we'll verify that the prop is full back. It is. Mixture to idle cutoff, and that's set. Head down here, car beats all the way on the bottom here, and that is closed. There's instructions for a cold engine or first flight of the day, so we're going to use those. So first we're going to head down here and turn on our battery. There we go. And then it tells us to engage the starter to rotate the prop over a couple to get the oil moving. That's a bit unusual, I'm not used to that, but we'll do it. So we're going to head down to the starter switch, and we don't have the magnetos on now, so all that's going to happen is it'll rotate the prop around, but it won't actually start the engine. Starter switch is down here. It's an actual switch. We flip that. Cranks the prop a couple revolutions, and then we turn it back off. Back to the checklist. Alright, we'll head back to doing a normal engine start. So we've got to get the battery back on. Battery is on. And next, we've got to locate the emergency fuel and oil cutoff. It's one of these levers down here, and it's this guy to the right, just to the left of the yellow cap there. Let's pull that up, and it says it should be open. I think I just closed it. The other open, so we'll push that back down. It was right the first time. Okay, next we'll head over to our fuel selector here and rotate it through its positions, put it on the fullest fuel tank. So let's use the front tank. Bring the mixture into full rich. Head over here and turn the magnetos to both. And it's interesting, the magnetos are totally separate from the starter, so you kind of set those up independently. I'll head down here, and now we've got to prime it, and the primer is way down here on the door beneath the seat. So pump the primer. Now we've got to do the wobble pump. That's this red lever here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just manually building fuel pressure. Now we'll turn on the starter. There we go. Bring up the throttle. Check the oil pressure. Oil pressure looks good. Alright, a lot of gauges on this Beaver. Alright, back to the checklist. Next we'll check that oil pressure is at 50 psi, which it is, and we can advance the prop lever to full forward. It's right up here in the middle. I'm going to slowly bring in the prop lever. Alright, that's good. Over to the engine warm-up page. So we've got to set the throttle to 1000 RPM. I probably should already know where the RPM gauge is before starting the engine. Oh, here it is. It's up here right over the throttle quadrant. That makes sense. So we'll advance the throttle up to 1000 RPMs. Normally the prop lever controls RPMs, but the prop lever is already full forward, so we have to bring up the throttle. We're ready to turn on the alternator and the avionics. We'll let those boot up. We'll head down here underneath the controls and get our switches on. So we'll turn on the landing light now. Calibrate the directional gyro to the compass. Navigraph has all the frequencies right on the taxi diagram, so we'll dial in 119.05 to get the weather.
Portland International Jetport, Information Quebec. 1451 Zulu. Wind 100 at 3. Visibility 10. Sky conditions, view at 9,000 feet. Temperature 27. Dew point 18. Altimeter 2999. Density altitude 1400 feet. Arriving and departing runways 2936. Advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested.
Alright, we'll bring up the VFR sectional and I'll take you through the flight brief. So you can see we're departing from Portland, which is a Class Charlie. We're going to pick up flight following and flight heading of 065 to Knox County Regional Airport, and then we're going to fly heading of 025 right along the shoreline to Belfast Municipal. Belfast is a field elevation of 198 feet. It's lighted with a 4,000-foot runway with standard left traffic. Portland ground, Beaver 471 Papa Mike, we'd like flight following, destination Belfast, Bravo Sierra Tango at 3,500 with information Quebec.
Beaver 1 Papa Mike, on departure, maintain VFR at or below 3,500 feet. Departure on 119.75 squawk 4346. Expect runway 11.
On departure, maintain VFR at or below 3,500, departure 119.75 squawk 4346, and we'll expect runway 11, Beaver 471 Papa Mike. Portland ground, Beaver 471 Papa Mike, north ramp, taxi for east departure with information Quebec.
Beaver 1 Papa Mike, taxi runway 11 via Charlie Alpha.
Taxi runway 11 via Charlie Alpha, Beaver 471 Papa Mike.
Clear to Detroit Metro via Haskell 3 departure, then as followed. Climb and maintain 7,000. Expect flight level 360, 10 minutes after departure. Departure on 119.75, squawk 4244, American 0041.
American 0041, read back correct.
This is such a cool looking aircraft, and I'm glad that it was a subscriber request. Now, I actually have no training in complex aircraft or tail draggers, so it should be interesting. There's the marking for taxiway Alpha on the ground, so we're going to hang right here and we'll get to go right by the main terminal. Check out all of those jetliners. That's courtesy of FSLTL traffic. Alright, we're going to stop here and do our run up. So we'll check that our flight controls are free and correct. They are. We'll bring up our throttle so we can do our magneto check.
Short of runway 12,
Mag
Hawker
left.
511 Hotel Alpha.
And we got a good drop. Back to both.
Roger, Portland
Mag
ground
right.
on departure, maintain VFR at
Good
or
drop.
below
Back to
1,500
both.
feet.
We got our trim set for takeoff. That's on the roof overhead. Flaps have a marked takeoff position, so we'll advance the flaps to the takeoff position, verify that they came down. Portland Tower, Beaver 471 Papa Mike, holding short, runway 11 at Alpha, ready for departure.
Beaver 471 Papa Mike, Portland Tower, runway 11, winds 100 at 5, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 11, Beaver 471 Papa Mike. Alright, it did have takeoff speeds on the checklist, which is good, and they're pretty much what I expect. They rotate around 55 miles per hour and climb at 80 miles per hour. So we're just going to make sure we don't let the tail wheel get away from us as we're taxiing out here onto the runway and doing our takeoff. Today's departure field is Portland International Jetport, which is a payware field available through Orbix. This is the 2020 version, which hasn't been upgraded yet to the 2024 version. And our arrival field is a freeware airport available via flightsim.to. Check out the video details if you would like to download either of those. The subscriber request was from Portland to Knox County, but Knox County didn't have a payware or freeware version available, so instead we're using that as a waypoint and continuing on to Belfast, which has a nice freeware airport. Alright, we'll fly runway heading until we're clear of the runway and at a safe altitude to do our first turn to heading 065.
Beaver 1 Papa Mike, contact departure.
Over to departure, Beaver 1 Papa Mike. Portland departure, Beaver 471 Papa Mike, 1,800, climbing 3,500.
Beaver 471 Papa Mike, Portland departure, radar contact.
Alright, back to our checklist. On the climb checklist, next step is to adjust the manifold pressure and the RPMs. And as we do that, we'll sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. Boston Center, Beaver 471, Papa Mike, request frequency change, field in sight.
Beaver 1 Papa Mike, flight following terminated, squawk VFR, frequency change approved.
Frequency change approved, Squawk VFR, thanks for the help, Beaver 471, Papa Mike. Traffic pattern altitude is 1198, CTAP 122975. Belfast traffic, Beaver 471, Papa Mike, 4 miles southwest at 2,200, will be overflying midfield at 1,700, Belfast. Alright, we're checking out the wind suck, and we can see it's a direct crosswind that favors runway 15. So we're going to fly straight a couple miles, then do a right teardrop entry for a left downwind for runway 15. Belfast traffic, 1 Papa Mike, left downwind, runway 15, full stop, Belfast. To beam the touchdown point power back, we'll put in our first notch of flaps. Belfast traffic, 1 Papa Mike, left base, runway 15, Belfast. Belfast traffic, 1 Papa Mike, final runway 15, full stop, Belfast. Alright, this is my first time landing the Beaver. I haven't rehearsed this beforehand. We've got a pretty good crosswind, so let's see how this goes. So we are approaching at 80 miles per hour and a bounce, a second bounce, a third, and fourth. We'll log that as 4 landings. Tail wheel is still up, so I am steering entirely with the rudder and trying not to let the tail get away from me. And as it settles down, we're going to get tail wheel steering, and let's keep it centered. There you go, and it's settled. Alright, this mission, aside from being a subscriber request, is also a $100 hamburger mission, because we're going to stop up here and grab something to eat at Bethany's Diner. Alright, that was a fun scenic flight, and the Beaver is a really cool aircraft to fly. If you haven't tried it, give it a shot. I love the old school vibe of it. A little bit of a handful to land, but I'll figure it out after a couple more landings. So I hope you enjoy realistic general aviation content like this. If you do, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.